realize it is fun to have the online communication because then we do get to, depending on where you are, you do get to not have a mask and we get to see each other. It's
Yes.
fun to, it feels more intimate than sometimes the seeing students in class.
All right. Well, I think we're ready to get started. So, Chantel, take it away.
Hey, hi everyone. My name is Chantel Webster. I am one of the counselors, part of the counseling adjunct faculty here at Chandler Gilbert. So I will be leading this. Excited to have all of you guys. You're here for the first part of a three-part series. And um, if you haven't already, I highly recommend taking out something to write with, to jot down any kind of notes, and then we will be doing something about midway through. So you'll be ready and prepared for that, and hopefully it will also help you towards the end when there's a follow-up activity. So today we are going to talk about time management. The first thing I want to make sure everyone understands is first off, what is time management? I know a lot of you are probably thinking, I already know what it is, and you probably do, but just to make things a little bit more clear, it's this process of planning. It helps you to better organize so you know what to do. You understand what your goals are so that you can actually accomplish them. And what I love is this is a lifelong skill. When we talk about this, it's not just something that you will benefit if you use this in your class now. It's something that will benefit in your, your personal life, your professional life, academic, whatever it is, this is something that can benefit you forever. So why do you want it? I like to know what's in it for me. So why would you like to know how you can manage your time? Well, there's that work-life balance. There's been a lot of talk about that, I think, the last few years of this balance. And if you're able to manage your time, you are going to have so much more success and happier where you can balance your school schedule, your family time, your going out and being social, your employment, whatever it is, where you can have a better balance and make sure you feel like you're getting everything done and less stress. It's a win. So basically, kind of going over some positives and negatives when it comes to time management. The big thing is you're reducing stress. If you can better manage your time, you're not running around, as I've said before, with your head cut off like a chicken, if you've ever heard that phrase. You're not going crazy and you're not frantic because you know where you need to be, or you know how much time you have until something needs to be accomplished, and it's not just this last second all the time kind of a procrastination. I got to get it done. So you're going to reduce that stress. You're going to get more stuff done. You're most likely going to mentally, emotionally feel better because you don't have that anxiety or additional stress because you haven't managed your time effectively. So it improves the quality of life and you're more likely going to accomplish your goals. I don't ever like to tell someone you're always going to accomplish it, but it increases the odds that you're actually going to accomplish those goals. Why have a goal if you don't want to see it through? So on the flip side, it increases stress if you're struggling with managing your time. You're going to be late. It can affect work. It can affect your job. If you aren't managing it and you're not getting enough sleep, it can affect being healthy, relationships, just all of that. So let's work on and learn a little bit more about this. Basically, if you can manage your time, you are better managing yourself. Kind of a cool concept. If you can master this time management, you are learning to help to better manage yourself. And again, increase success in multiple areas of life. So the skills that we hope you're going to attain by actually truly learning to manage your time. One is being better at goal setting. I like to say, if you don't have like a map, a way to figure out like actually creating a SMART goal, if you just come up with an idea of something and you say it's your goal, I like to call it, that's a nice idea. That's a happy thought. Okay. Time management will actually help you get there so that you are actually achieving that goal and not just saying, oh, I want to graduate college. Okay, that's great. How are you going to do it? How long is it going to take? What steps do you need to do? Is it realistic? There's all these different things, and managing that, time management actually will help you with that. If you can manage your time, you are getting better at learning how to prioritize. Some of you guys may feel great about that skill. We're going to talk a little bit about how you can prioritize if you sit there, if you're one of those like, Holly, I have no idea. I don't know what people say when they want me to prioritize what I'm supposed to do. So that's another great skill, and we're going to talk about that. And then the last one, like we've mentioned, you monitor your time, you're better managing your own self effectively. Okay, so we have this fun little video clip. Are we going to have sound this time for this one? Okay, sweet. So this is a short little clip. It's like an old-fashioned kind of a video, so just run with me and just watch it. There's no words, just some old kind of fashion music playing. Isn't that sweet? Okay, I had a hard time hearing the sound. Did anyone else? Could you guys hear that?
No.
Okay,
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yeah,
That's weird that you couldn't hear the audio.
yeah. Every once in a while, I got a glimmer of something cutting in, but
Interesting.
it was just like an old, think of like a 1920s kind of an old sound music. So it doesn't make a difference. What we really wanted was for you guys to watch that and kind of read what you saw there. And then we're going to talk about that in just a minute. But what we want you guys to do, and you can do this directly into Pear Deck, we want to hear what are some challenges you have faced with managing your time in the past. So please, everyone, start typing directly into Pear Deck. Okay, let's see. Having too much going on, that can be a fairly common thing. Taking on too much. So do we have people in here who are S personalities and just can't say no? If we do, don't worry, you are the majority of the population. Okay, schedules. We're going to talk a little bit about schedules here. Hopefully that will help. We want to definitely, again, that work-life balance. These are all valid things. These are valid reasons why it's hard and we can struggle when it comes to time. Definitely going to talk about prioritizing. See. Oh, and even sometimes I see someone's overwhelmed. Sometimes just starting is overwhelming because you're sit there and I can be frazzled. I'm like, I'm not sure where to start. If someone can just give me something to start. So hopefully we'll go over through something, a process here shortly that will help you guys at least kind of where you don't feel so overwhelmed and how you can start and do this. Okay, so a lot of these very, very valid. Totally get it. And I think many of us can completely relate to that too. So the hope is by doing all of this and truly learning how to manage your time, that it can alleviate a lot of those problems or concerns that you guys have struggled with in the past. So this is where I want you guys to get your piece of paper out if you haven't already. I want you to go ahead and create a list, and you can write your list on your piece of paper, which would be nice because that might actually come back to help you at the very end of this. If you want to go ahead and enter your list in the chat, if you want to even start shouting out some things, that is perfectly fine too. Oh, is this one where they can write in Pear Deck? You can go directly into Pear Deck too. Okay. And then in just a minute, I'm going to show you kind of a generic one that I've come up with that usually happens with my students that will come up together in the classroom. School chores, it looks like kids, those darn kids. Let's see. Time with your pets. My goodness. That is one that a lot of times people forget. It takes time, especially if you have a pet that's indoors all day and you need to let them out to get some exercise or relieve themselves. Any appointments? Homework, your studying time outside of school, the fun random or not random, but the weekly things of errands you've got to do, whether it's laundry, groceries, all of those fun stuff that we all look forward to every single week. Um, let's see, family, spending time with family. Everyone has varying levels of sometimes religious things. I've had some students where parents have been a leader of some sort and they have, like, literally they're down participating 5, 6 days a week. That can be really, really hard to juggle some of that. Okay, these are all great. And if you have seen anyone else's, feel free to add that to yours. Let's go to the next screen. There we go. So here is a list. This is pretty common when I am working with students and we're coming up with things on here. Like there's a big one people forget about: transportation. How long does it take? Some of our students who come here to Chandler Gilbert, I have one, he had to travel 45 minutes to come to my class. So there are some, depending on where they are. I've had some who've come from Globe. This 45-minute one was coming from Maricopa. So depending on it, you've really got to take into account transportation and part of your time too. Then there's, if you're in sports, exercise, some people do it for fun. Some people are on actually one of the sports teams. So those things we've got to take into consideration. And then the fun stuff, the sitting around doing nothing, with one of these and just aimlessly just like scrolling through or playing the video games or just anything like that. So we've got a nice, good list. So you've got this list, and the question is like, well, what do we do with it? That's where prioritizing comes into place. So for those who are overwhelmed when it comes to, I don't know how to manage my time, hopefully it's not too hard to just, get a pen and just start jotting down what is everything that I need to do within a week, or what is everything that's important for today, and just start jotting it down. Hopefully that's a fairly easy entry to get you on working on managing your time. So we've got prioritizing. So again, some of you are thinking, I know how to prioritize. Great. Others may be kind of wondering or struggling with it. But that video that we showed, it was big rocks and sand. The sand is the fun stuff. It's the stuff I'd rather do. I would rather be outside walking my dog than in here studying or reading about whatever I have to do to get ready for a test, right? I would rather be watching something fun on TV or playing some kind of a game or just sitting down eating some really tasty food than doing the cleaning or the chores or whatever. But if we do all that fun stuff first, those big things, we may discover, oh no, I don't have time now to get it done. I've sat down and I've watched TV for 6 hours today, and now I'm tired and I haven't studied at all. So, prioritizing is helping us to figure out where those big things go. So, on the next screen, if we can do that, you're going to be able to fit it all in. You're going to be able to fit in the things that are important that you need to get done. And then all the fun stuff is that sand that's in there. It's the small grains. They can fill in the places that aren't maybe you're not needing at that time. And yet your needs are still being met. So we'll show you that in just a moment. So the question is, how do you prioritize? Okay. If you don't know, please listen up. I have two questions I want you to remember. So if anything, write these two things down so you have that. If you struggle with prioritizing, first ask yourself, is it important? Is studying for, biology test next week, is that important? And I don't know if you do, so I'm not trying to freak you guys out, okay? Is that important? Yeah, I would say it's important. The next question you always ask yourself is it urgent? Okay, first question, is it important? Second question, is it urgent? If you're answering yes to both of those, then that's probably the first thing you need to make sure you get done. And that's what we call quadrant 1. Things that are very important, you've got to get it done. Unfortunately, if you're living in quadrant 1, if you're always, when you're asking yourself those questions, if you're always saying yes to both of those, you're probably also living with a lot of stress and anxiety and just running around frantic. And if you're like me, when I'm frantic, I'm yelling at my kids and I'm not the nicest person to be around, not the happiest life for any of us. But that's quadrant 1. So if you answer yes to both of those, that's probably what you need to focus on first. But where I want you to live, where I want you to focus is quadrant 2. It's where you answer yes to something being important, but no to it being urgent. So this would be, okay, let's say you do have a test for biology and it's in 2 weeks. Is it important? Yes. Is it urgent? Not quite yet, because it doesn't have to get done today. It doesn't have to get done tomorrow. But this is where you are relieving the stress and you can start planning now. Okay, I'm going to maybe look at my notes for 15 minutes every single day for the next week. And then the week of the test, I'm going to increase it to 30 minutes. Could you handle 15 minutes a day? Yeah, that's pretty simple. And just reviewing your notes is going to help you better prepare that. And then that last week, upping it to maybe 30 to make sure you're more focused on that. Yeah, you've got a game plan and you're working to it, and it's not one of these all-night cramming evenings where you're frantic. So quadrant 3 is basically the ones where it's not important, but it's urgent. And I always like to use the example of my husband, who is a sports fanatic. Do I have any other sports fanatics out here? When there's a good game on, you've got to get home to see it. Well, we have this. Okay, good. So we have this wonderful technology that didn't exist when I was a child. You can record things live, show up, and then you just start playing it as is. And then you can go through and then get to the point where you're live again. They didn't have that technology. Yet my husband will be the ones will be driving and he's like, we gotta get home now. The game is on. And then we're driving crazy, causing an accident almost. It's important to him, I get that. But in the whole scheme of life, it's not that important. It's urgent because the game is on right now. But guess what? We'll get home in 15 minutes. And I'm sure by going through all the commercials, you're going to get caught up within about 30 minutes into that game. So that's quadrant 3. Quadrant 4, these are the ones who procrastinate. These are the ones that they answer no to all of it. And it's like, is going on my phone important? Is on my phone urgent? No. But that's where I'm going to spend my day all day. Do you know people like that? And they're just like, ooh, and then they're telling you stuff or they're making comments on everything. And then the last thing, they become a quadrant 1 person and like, oh, now I need to study. Okay. Don't want you there. Okay. On the next slide, these are some pretty good examples and I really like it. Quadrant 1, you're in crisis mode. You're trying to deal with problems. You're putting out fires. The stress is up there. Quadrant 2, I love how they phrase it. You're looking for the opportunities. You want to progress. It's a long-term thing. You can see where you want to be and you're working your way there. But life is a little bit calmer and easier. Quadrant 3, you delegate it. If you can answer that, no, it's not important, but it's urgent, well, I'm going to give it to someone else. They can go and do that. Do those dishes need to get done? Oh, yes, they need to get done. But I've got to do some grading for students right now. So guess what? My kids can go ahead and do those dishes, right? 4, quadrant 4, resist. We all need time for ourselves, but when we are prioritizing, we are really trying to figure out what needs to get done. Do your best to resist the daydreaming, the fun, the streaming, whatever it is, and make sure you schedule time for that. So, okay, let's go back to that list that we have. You guys, no, you're right. That's good. Okay. So we have this list. Hopefully you guys jotted down. You wrote stuff that you needed to get done this week or next week, since it is a Friday. Now what I want you to do, if we go back to that video with the big rocks, let's look at this list. Let's think about this. What are maybe the top 3, 4 things that you think are the most important, most urgent that we want to get done? And then you want to highlight or list it, number it on your list, but go ahead in the chat or unmute yourself by all means. What do you guys think? What are the most important stuff in here? And by the way, everyone is different, so that's okay. Everyone's circumstance is different. But just curious. Work, okay. Someone shared work. Kids, school, yeah. Family, we've got the school again. School, work, kids. I agree. Okay, things at home, your health. Okay, good. Now they're all like just flying in. Love it. Okay, very, very good. We do need to get groceries, otherwise we will definitely starve eating. Hey, so it looks like a lot of you guys, you're answering those questions and we're on the same track. And then a number of you guys also have some really other great ones listed there, like, family, eating, some of your other extracurricular things, whether it's exercise, health, any kind of a religious thing. All of this is important. And I'm hoping what you see, what we do next, you'll see how when you're prioritizing, things can still kind of fill in, even though it's very important, some things are a little bit more flexible. So I've created this list. This is just kind of a generic list or a schedule for a week. And a lot of this is going kind of hand in hand with what you guys were coming up to. First and foremost, the first thing that I had put on here was work. Can you guys control often when you go to work? Most of the time you can't. Most of the time you are told when and where and how often you need to be someplace. So that and work is so important because if you can't work, you can't pay your bills, you can't pay your mortgage or your rent, you can't pay to come to school. So as much as we love to see your smiling faces, if you can't get that paid for, you can't be here. And we completely understand that. So work, even if you don't work until the end of the week, it's still very important to make sure you have it either on a schedule like we have here or mentally in your mind so that you don't double schedule yourself. You know, I knew I had this presentation. I made sure I had it in my phone. I made sure I have it on my wall where I have things so that I don't double schedule myself because otherwise you guys would have, you know, been here. And I wouldn't have. That would have been fun, right? No. So that's very, very important to do that just so you know. It's like a holding place. And then the next thing, what you guys had done was school. The nice thing about going to college is you have a little bit more flexibility. Not always a ton, but you do have a little bit more flexibility. Hopefully, there's a few different sections of the same course that you want to take, and you can find what will work best for your schedule. And so in here, I have, I think it equals out to being like a full-time college student kind of a schedule up here. And then we also included like study time. Because if you're going to go to school, I'm hoping you're not going to waste your time and your money. And so you're going to take time to actually study so you get the grades that you want. So let's make sure we have time in here for that. So these are 3 top things on here. I had mentioned transportation. I don't think I saw anyone write that down as most important. Would that be important to consider here with how we currently have our schedule? It looks like, yes, no, yes. It looks like school probably gets out at about, if you have early morning for all those early morning people, gets out at what about 9 and then you have to be work at 9:30. Well, if you're my student who's from Maricopa and the job is back in Maricopa, are you going to make it back in time? It took 45 minutes for that student of mine. So those are things to make sure you are also considering when you're doing this is that you have allowed enough time. And if you have to actually put it in your schedule, put it in. If not, make sure you think about it. Okay, so some of you have family. Looking at this schedule, do you have time where your family can kind of fill in? You've got time for family. Does it look like that? And depending on where you are, if you don't have any children, totally have time in here for family. If you have kids, then you might need to revamp this schedule a little bit more so that you are sure, you know, making sure that you're there to make sure you've picked them up or that you fed them or that you, whatever it is you need to do. Eating. Eating is very important. If you don't eat, you're eventually going to die. Very important. But the nice thing about eating, could you right now, as you are watching this highly important workshop video, can you be popping food in your mouth? You totally can be, right? Not that I'm saying you should be eating while you're driving, but if you are that desperate, you can do that. Not in bio lab, but in a lot of other classes. If you were taking any of my classes, you could eat in there. I'm not going to tell someone they can't eat. So for most people, most of the time, eating is very important. But it's one of those that it's the sand that can fill in the spaces and you can make it work. Can you be talking and calling and texting people in between a lot of this? You sure can. Is there time for your video games? Is there time for exercising? Is there time for any kind of religious activity? There's a lot here, and you can make it work. Now, if some of those things are more of a priority, then guess what? You put them in here first or get there early. Just again, it's like a holding spot. Now, one thing I do want to point out, and I don't think I had it on my list, and I don't see it here. everyone needs me time. Everyone needs some time to kind of just veg, debrief, whatever it is from the day. Do we have time currently in the schedule that you could put in a half hour, an hour, and depending on some days, you could do 5 or 6 hours and get away with it? We do. For your own mental, emotional health, there's still time in here. And again, that's more of the sand. We can fill it in. We can make it work. But going back to the big rocks, we have placed our big rocks to make sure that we are going to meet the obligations or commitments that we have so that we can achieve the goals that we want. So, is there any questions on this? Okay, we have another great video. Let's hope this one, you can hear the sound.
We'll find out.
This morning I got up and got ready quickly because I had to get a lot of stuff done. I sat down at my desk to start getting my stuff done and I spilled my coffee, so I got a sponge to clean it up, and I figured I'd take an extra minute to clean the whole desk because a clean desk would help me get my stuff done. When I was finished, I realized I hadn't eaten anything and I didn't want to be hungry while I got my stuff done, so I went into the kitchen and I was out of cereal. When I got to the grocery store, I remembered a bunch of other crap I needed to get, and I figured I was already there, so I did my shopping for the week so I didn't have to worry about it while I got my stuff done. When I got home, I didn't feel like cereal anymore, and so I made an omelet and I did the dishes so I wouldn't have to do them after I got my stuff done, and then I went out to get some oil from the hardware store because my desk chair is kind of squeaky and I didn't want to be distracted by a squeaky chair while I got my stuff done. When I got back, it was getting kind of late, and I knew I wouldn't be able to get my stuff done today, so I started watching the Twilight Zone marathon on TV. I just have to make sure I get to bed early because I want to be well rested tomorrow so I can get my stuff done.
Okay. I love that. I love it. I think it's so silly. How many people have worked so hard to get stuff ready so they can get their stuff done? And then they never get the stuff done, right? Oh, okay. So, what do you guys tend to waste your time on? Social media? Oh my goodness, that sucks the life out of most of us. Nice. Hey, you know what? Reading, if you're continually learning and developing, that's great. But then it does cross the point, okay, are my kids starving? Probably need to feed them. Okay. Friends, yeah. Oh, sleeping. My favorite pastime. Okay.
So to the
Now,
student that said, if I'm procrastinating, I do projects like organizing. I call that procrastinating. So you're working on another task instead of what you might need to be doing.
which there's the good and bad with that. You're getting some stuff done, but you're not getting your stuff done. Okay, well, you know what? Hopefully you all can rest assured that we all typically feel the same stuff, or you're not alone. Okay. So the question is why? Okay, so you procrastinate or you have those problems. Why do you waste your time? What are your thoughts? Oh, okay, that's really good. Scared to fail. That can be daunting. That's like truly legit. I have this opportunity to do something great, and I'm worried that I'm going to fail, that it's almost you make a huge mountain out of it and you just try to avoid it at all costs. Okay. People feeling a lack of motivation. That's where we really got to be focused on, okay, what are your goals? What is your end goal? So you're taking these classes, you're taking this biology class. Why are you taking this biology class? Is it to get a degree? Is it to get a specific career, a profession that you want to go into? And then you've got to focus on what is it that's individually motivating you? Okay, someone else, anxiety of not being able to finish it. Those are all true, legit reasons why we don't want to do that, or we struggle with it and we procrastinate. But again, it comes back down to those goals. What is your end game? What do you want out of that? Focus on that and then figure out how you're going to get there and managing your time by learning again to prioritize. So there are some strategies that you are looking at right now that are some great ideas. Some things you probably already even do. And may not, even realize that. But just simple to-do list. If you're a visual person, these things are really, really great. And sometimes you just need to get it out, and writing it down helps you to remember things better, which can help also to prioritize and figuring out which ones are the most important things I need to get done sooner rather than later. Communicate. Oh gosh, guys, this one's so important. Communicate with an instructor early about any kind of emergencies. The earlier we know about something, I'll speak for me. I won't speak for your professors, but at least for me, I'm kinder and I'm a little bit more understanding when I'm informed, hey, Chantel, this just happened. I've got to go do that, opposed to, oh, yeah, I didn't come or I didn't do it last week because I had this and this and this. Like, oh, yeah, okay, so am I supposed to care that much? That sounds harsh. That's not me all the time. But it's one of those things where let us know. The more we know, sometimes we even can provide some ideas or suggestions that might even help you in that situation. So let us know. These are just strategies and skills for success. I like, again, the delegate. If it's something that isn't that important, delegate it. Have someone else do it. Save your stress for things that you really, really do need it. Get it done. Eliminate distractions. Go in a different room. Like turn my computer sideways, you'll see I have a TV behind me. I'll turn it off so that when I'm working, it's not distracting me. Take care of yourself, making sure that you are getting enough sleep every night, making sure that you're eating food that's allowing you to think and feel energized. And exercise is always, always a great thing. So these are some very good strategies that can help you. But also remember, schedule some me time. If you're someone that is self-sacrificing all the time and you are not budgeting, but like scheduling yourself one thing to the next, and you don't ever have any time for you, well, then make sure you do put you in there at some point during your day or at some point during your week, because everyone needs that, some downtime for themselves. Okay. So, takeaways. You guys, there is only 24 hours in a day. I can't change that. Your professors, no one can change that. There are only 7 days in a week. So we've got to learn what we can do to make the best of that time. And learning to better organize ourselves will help us better manage that so that we do feel like I have more free time because I've managed my time and instead of running from place to place or thought to thought. Remember the 2 questions. 2 questions for prioritizing. The first one, is it important? The second one, is it urgent? Remember those questions. If you struggle with prioritizing, ask yourself those questions. It's a great way to just get yourself started. The other thing, when you learn how to manage time, you are learning to manage yourself, which allows for more opportunities for success and getting things done, feeling good that you are getting things done. And by doing this, it's changing your behaviors. It's changing it for a positive good in your life. And again, it's applicable not just here at school. It's applicable for when you are actually in a working profession. It's applicable in your personal life, your social life, everywhere. This is a fantastic skill that you can use. So, oh, this quote. Okay, so what I like about this is some of you, it's that, you're feeling overwhelmed or there's so much going on. What the problem is, it's not the activity that you have to do. It's the running, being stressed or procrastinating or whatever. That's that little grain that's in your shoe, and that's what's making it harder. But if you can live in quadrant 2, remember the one where you ask yourself, yes, it's important, but it's not urgent. If you can live in there and you can start mapping out what you need to do, say you have a huge project. A lot of times professors already have it broken up for you, complete this by this date. But if they don't, you can do that. Break up the project and say, I'm going to get this done by Sunday night. And then I'm going to get this next part done by Wednesday. And then I'm going to get the third part done by next Sunday. You break it up, you map it out so that as you're going along, you're like, oh, I'm already 2/3 up this mountain. This wasn't that bad. Opposed to if you didn't prioritize, you didn't manage your time, then you've got those stressors, you've got those anxieties, you're feeling frantic. That's the small grain that's making it hard to climb that mountain. I hope that's making sense to you guys. Smile and nod. Thumbs up. Okay, so if you have questions, your professors are probably best to ask, but feel free. Ask. This is your opportunity. Any questions? Or think about your questions because you do have a follow-up activity to do for this. And it's kind of like what we did here. Did one of you guys want to?
Yeah, so this might vary depending on your instructor, but I think we're all pretty similar. So your post activity to get your points, depending again on how your instructor set it up, is to build a weekly schedule. And you're going to start with your A and B priorities. So a lot of you said work and school were kind of your number one priorities. So build that into your schedule, and then you can start to add in your C priorities, the more fun things. So you can use whatever you want for this assignment. This can be Google Calendar, or this can be a printed calendar. Whatever it is that you are actually going to utilize in your life is what you'll use to build your schedule and start putting this into practice. So you will be submitting that to Canvas, again, however your instructor delegated that in your Canvas course.
And it shouldn't take long.
No,
This should be something that's like a 5-minute thing. It shouldn't take you guys very long. So please don't stress out about that.
For my 100 students, this is how you get your weekly engagement points and your extra credit. So do make sure that you complete this. It's in Canvas called Post Time Management Workshop Activity.
When is it due?
It's due Sunday at 11 p.m.
Okay, beautiful.
So the same time as the weekly engagement assignment.
I have a question. Are we going to still have access to the Pear Deck if we want to reflect back?
Yes. So it should be in your Canvas course. There should be a link to this Pear Deck.
Perfect. I just wanted to make sure it would still be available even after this session.
So double check with your instructor, but yeah,
I won't remove it. It'll stay.
Thank you.
Hey, any other questions? Thank you all for your participation. We love seeing your responses and hopefully you guys like seeing it too, because hopefully it shows you that you are probably fairly similar to so many others.